Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good morning.
Friday?
Good morning.
Well, that clinches it. The Clippers are winning the West because the Clippers got Rondo and you don't got Rondo.
I mean, we played with our two of our big guns. And
We got our big gun, and he had 15 and 9 assists in only 17 minutes last night. Rondo.
Okay, we'll see.
Here we
that
go.
does it. That's it. We're done. Okay, we're going to get to that. I promise we will explain. But, guys, we need to begin the show with some new details surrounding Tiger Woods and the crash. So let me break it down for you. A 22-page collision report for Tiger Woods' crash has revealed really some frightening details. Among them, Tiger told authorities he thought he was in Florida after the crash, which occurred here in Southern California. Data from the car's black box showed that Tiger's car was going in a straight line with no steering input before the crash, and an empty pharmaceutical bottle was found at the scene with no label of what was inside. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to the latest details here?
Well, Skip, this is also continues that it's a miracle that Tiger Woods is alive, considering the rate of speed in which he was traveling, the rate of speed in which he collided with that tree. The mere fact that Tiger Woods was able to walk away with his life in and of itself is a miracle. Skip, I don't want to pile on to a man that seems to be going through an awful lot at this current time, but we got to be fair with this situation. And it makes the whomever, LAPD, the sheriff's office, whoever investigated this, did a horrible job. That's in and of itself. The mere fact that you say we found an empty prescription pill bottle with no label on it, given the history of Tiger Woods, lets you know a toxicology test should have been rendered, if not on scene, and definitely at the hospital. They failed on that aspect. And normally, Skip, look, we've all had prescriptions. Normally, prescription bottles don't come empty. Normally, prescription bottles comes with a label on it, and it tells you what to take, how much of it you should be taking, and what you're actually taking.
Good point.
The mere fact that the labels have been removed tells me something that Tiger Woods had a prescription. Either the doctor that prescribed it for him, he didn't want the doctor to be known, or he didn't want you to know what was inside the bottle that he was taking. That's in and of itself. The low blood pressure. Doesn't remember the accident, thought he was in Florida. Now, he could have been concussed. Skip, you hit a tree at 75 miles an hour, yeah, you're probably going to be concussed. But we need to know what caused the low blood pressure. Normally, 40-plus-year-old people just don't have all of a sudden low blood pressure drop like that and cause you to do things like that.
Could have been the trauma of the crash, but
right,
go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, and looking at what they said, hold on. You think Tiger Woods wanted all this information out? Because it went from Skip, and we got to get his permission to release this information, to they did a 22-page extensive, which makes them look even worse considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
But for Tiger needs to sit back and do some self-reflection. Clearly, whatever transpired in 2009 that started this unfortunate chain of events, Tiger Woods has not been the same professionally or privately. I don't know what's going on in his life. Maybe that was such a burden to bear. Maybe the fact that he got revealed and he wasn't what he portrayed himself to be.
Yep.
Maybe that was more of a burden than he can bear right now. But Tiger has some issues, and I'm not sure that he's resolved those. And it's something that maybe that when he's on the golf course, he doesn't think about. But he spends more time alone in his own thoughts than he does on the golf course, where his mind has to be free in order to play the game at a very elite level. So, Skip, this report for me raises more questions than it provided answers. And somebody needs to answer. At some point in time, I'm sure Tiger's not going to go through this, but I want to ask the investigative team, why didn't you do a more thorough investigation of what actually transpired? What was in that bottle? Do residue tests? Blood toxicology should have been rendered, because, like I said, Skip, this is not normal for someone to travel at this rate of speed. And well, yeah, you know when they say he's familiar with the area. Clearly, he wasn't familiar with the area. At traveling at that rate of speed, downhill, you don't brake, you think you're braking. Well, they don't know if he thought he was braking. What they said, well, maybe he was thinking he was braking, but he was hitting the accelerator. That's not normal behavior. So for me, it didn't provide answer. It just leaves me with more questions.
Okay. I told you the first time we discussed the details of this accident that there's a part of me that says he's suffering enough. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a 22-page collision report revealing many new shocking details.
Right.
All brought to light because of the Freedom of Information Act, and USA Today said, we are going to go get that report.
I told you that was going to happen. But what? No, you can't release that. I said, bull jive. The Freedom of Information Act? Oh, they're going to get that.
They got it, and they got closer to the bottom of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So some details we can't connect dots on, but there was the empty pharmaceutical bottle you referred to in his backpack. And then there are more details about, I'm just going to read from the report. Instead of staying in his lane as it curved right, he struck a curb, mowed down a wooden sign, and drove into opposing lanes before hitting a tree and rolling over in what fittingly was called Rolling Hills Estates.
Mm-hmm.
And after hitting the median, he traveled a distance of several hundred feet without touching his brake. And then the other, just impossibly hard to digest detail is that in the last second before he hit the tree, he pushed down 99% on the accelerator. And by all accounts, you can not even leap. You can jump right to a conclusion and be within bounds to believe that he fell asleep at the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been several of there's a former police detective in Southern California, Jonathan Cherney. He just says it's a classic case of falling asleep behind the wheel.
Right.
And we had the report yesterday. He was traveling as fast as 87 miles an hour down the hill and probably hit the tree somewhere in the range of 75 miles an hour. Back to your point, I have no idea how he walked away. Thank God, I'm going to knock on wood.
With just some broken legs.
Yeah, with broken legs. And it could be a crippling injury.
Mm-hmm.
He could fight with this the rest of his life.
Right.
I hope not. But as we spoke of yesterday, this happened shortly after 7 a.m. Thank God he didn't head on anybody coming in the two opposite lanes of traffic.
And you know, at traveling at that rate of speed, it's fatalities on both sides.
No swerving until right at the very end. It looked like the wheel turned slightly, according to the black box.
Mm-hmm.
And now we ask, why wasn't he blood tested? And one of the officers on the scene said it appeared he had not been operating the motor vehicle while impaired. Well, I have no idea how you could.
You can't just
that.
look at somebody and say that, Skip.
One of the paramedics said that he had slightly sluggish eyeballs at that point. Well, I could see that.
Right.
But when interviewed shortly thereafter at the hospital as he was getting his face stitched up, he thought he was in the state of Florida, which brought to mind one of his previous incidents when he was found behind the wheel asleep.
And he was in Florida,
traffic.
thought he was in California.
Thought he was in Orange County in California. So we had the flip of that. And obviously, he had a recent back surgery, so it would follow that he had prescription pain-killing medicine. And yet, in the 2017 incident, when he was found asleep at the wheel near his home in Florida, he was arrested for drunk driving, and there was a toxicology report that revealed his system had sleep medication, Ambien, as most people know, painkiller Vicodin, THC, and he checked into a clinic that year to get help for medications dealing with pain and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Pleaded guilty then to reckless driving. Again, he has suffered enough, but this is no different than driving drunk to me.
Yeah.
It has that potential here that he was driving it somehow impaired, or that, you know, the whole idea that he fell asleep at the wheel at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Skip, let me ask you something.
Almost, 90 miles an hour.
Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm one of people that. Is it normal that you carry medication in your backpack? Now, I understand if you have blood pressure issues and you have certain type of medical conditions, obviously you want to keep your medicine on you at all time. But I don't carry medicine around in my backpack. Not aspirin, not anything.
Again, just had a back surgery. And by the way, that was his 6th back surgery that he just had.
Right.
And the 5th back surgery was a spinal fusion surgery.
Right.
And as you well know, that's some serious business.
But Skip, they have on the pain medication. Do not operate a motor vehicle if you ingest these medicine.
Absolutely. So there should be some predictable outrage that he was operating this vehicle. And that somehow he was going almost 90 miles an hour down the hill and hit a tree going 75 and never touched the brake. Okay. So after I read this morning, I sat back and reflected on this man's career. And I've told you, I've known a lot of football players, including you, many, many players who played long, full careers. And not one of them suffered as many injuries as this man has suffered. And he is a golfer. But it started in 2002 when he tore his ACL. And according to Hank Haney, his coach at the time, he was on maneuvers because he wanted to become a Navy SEAL and follow in his father's military footsteps. His father fought in Vietnam, Earl Woods. And on maneuvers, going through, the shootout in the dark building, he tore his ACL, according to Hank Haney. Well, this is a man who, remember, before he even won his first Masters, Jack Nicklaus, who has 18 majors right now to Tiger's 15, predicted that Tiger would win more Masters than Arnold Palmer and I combined. Well, they have combined 10. Tiger is on 5 because at age 43 in 2019, he won his 5th Masters, and I still don't know how he did that, coming back from all the injuries that he has suffered, because he's had he's had 2 Achilles injuries, he's had all the back injuries, he's had neck, he's had elbow, name something, he's had it. And yet, you want to talk about resilient and fighting back and bouncing back, but I now look at Tiger's career and I think, how great could it have been if he had just stayed relatively healthy the way most golfers stay relatively healthy?
Well, the thing, Skip, the thing that makes athletes great is something ultimate, a lot of times that leads to their demise, is because it's the ability, it's when someone tells you, no, don't do that, you plow full speed ahead. I'm sure there were people saying, Tiger, you don't need to do this. You're not going to be a Navy SEAL. You have an opportunity, and I still believe he's the greatest golfer to ever live, but you have a chance to to accomplish things that's never, ever, ever going to be touched again. But that's what made him Tiger. That's what made him Tiger. Tiger has what we call, Skip, what we see in a lot of ex-professional football players. They've had so many injuries, their bodies have been so battered that in order to continue to function on a day-to-day basis, sometimes they medicate themselves. And hopefully they don't get behind the wheel and try to operate a vehicle, but that's what it's a classic case of. There's no reason that Tiger Woods would have an empty prescription bottle with no label on it. I mean, if you're taking medicine that's on the up and up, okay. So if you're taking Vicodin, the Percocet, or Oxy, whatever the case may be, Skip.
He's had 3 big knee surgeries. 2 ACL tears and an MCL issue. And all kinds of cartilage damage. So you could argue that he's beyond the pain suffered by a lot of ex-football players, right? Okay, I get that. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just trying to put in perspective.
He's probably bone on bone in a knee or something.
He probably is at this point. And yet, he still won 82 professional tournaments. That tied Sam Snead for the most all-time. Jack Nicklaus won 73. But is he stuck on 82? Will we ever see him again? I don't know.
I don't know these, Skip. I don't know either. But I thought at one point in time, Skip, I thought he was going to get to 100. And I thought he'd get to 20 majors.
He could have.
And I believe a lot of other people, I think a lot of other people thought he would get to, because you think about the stretch, Skip, 2008, the U.S. Open was his last one. He lost in 2009 when Wai Yang chased him down at the PGA.
But he won that U.S. Open in the playoff against Rocco Mediate with 2 stress fractures in his tibia.
Okay.
So
he went, basically 12 years without winning a major.
He went 12 years.
That's four majors a year?
Yep.
That's a bunch of majors that he could have. And Tiger, nobody ever expected him, Skip, to go that long in between winning majors.
No.
1-2 years, but not a decade
and remember,
plus.
It got so bad for him. I'm going back 6 years ago. I remember at the Phoenix Open one year, he got the chip yips where he couldn't even like chip the ball on the green. He was blading everything or chili dipping everything. He couldn't even chip it forward.
Right.
He was so messed up psychologically. And he bounced back from that at age 43. He's now 45, but he won that. I have no idea how he won that Masters, but he did.
He did that.
And I saw a stretch of golf and covered almost all of these events back in 2000, 2001 when he won what's called the Tiger Slam.
Yeah.
He didn't Grand Slam it all in a row because it ended on the Masters instead of starting with the first major of the year, the Masters. But he goes U.S. Open, British Open, PGA, Masters, all in a row.
You ain't going to see that again.
And it's just impossibly great, impossibly dominant.
Yes.
And that's what could have been.
Right.
And what almost was.
Right.
And in the middle of this, he has a cheating scandal in his life that was about as shocking as anything we've seen. And it's so ironic. HBO just came out with this big Tiger documentary that detailed all the cheating scandal and had many on-camera interviews with many of those that he cheated with. And back to early girlfriends. And it's a great look. You watched the documentary. It's very enlightening about Tiger's mentality, how he was raised by his father. And the things that some of the things that his father did, my grandfather used to always tell us, he said, boy, if you're not careful, you'll become the very thing you despise the most in a person. What was the one thing that Tiger despised the most about his dad? That he wasn't faithful.
And he turned around and became the very thing he despised the most in the person that he loved the most.
Bingo. And yet he so idolized his father, he wound up following right in his footsteps. Okay. And it tore apart what most people thought was the most perfect marriage. He was the greatest husband / father ever. And he is, by all accounts, a great father. Great father.
Yes.
Not so much a good husband. So what a life and times this man has lived. And here's the point of his golf career. And we're seeing it in full force as we speak at the Masters, which is going on as these words are spoken.
Correct.
Tiger Woods put golf on the national map the way it had never, ever been.
True.
And I fear, and I'm a golf fan, I fear it's about to slip off the national map because Tiger had his accident and is going to be out of sight, out of mind for a good while, if not maybe for good.
Skip, and they got some great golfers. They got 10 guys that go into every tournament and have a great chance of winning, but none of them name is Tiger. None of them go by, the one name. That's it.
He was a human thunderstorm of emotion, passion, and explosiveness that we had never seen before on a golf course. Because most golfers, the white golfers, the country club products, they're taught not to show emotion. They're taught to say nothing. Well, he was a firestorm of profanity. We'd never seen that before, but he just... He just exploded on camera, on microphone. I'll never forget that U.S. Open. I was there that Saturday morning, Pebble Beach, when he just tore the field apart. Remember that in 2000? And it was on Saturday morning, and he was on a tee on the 18th. He had to finish his round, and there are boom mics out there on the tee. It's like out in the ocean to hit back into the fairway. And he didn't like his tee shot, and he screamed out a string of expletives that were caught on Saturday morning TV around the country. And it was a shock because golfers just don't do that. But it brought edge to a golfer that no golfer had ever really had before.
And to show that kind of emotion, the fist pump, he come out there with the signature. Golfers just wore what they wore. He came out there on Sunday with that red shirt and those black pants, and you knew. Okay. Yeah, you know what's up. You know what time it is.
So the only thing close to a thunderstorm that golf has had here in recent memory has been DeChambeau, who's everybody thought, well, he's just going to go tear apart Augusta National the way Tiger tore it apart in 1997, 98, 99, 2000, right? And no, he's not Tiger Woods.
No.
He can bust it 5 country miles.
Well, don't tell him where it might end up.
And
it might end up in Atlanta. He hitting it from Augusta.
It might, but so might some of Tiger's early tee shots. But it didn't matter because people underestimate. It wasn't Tiger's length that was doing it. It was his skill.
Yes.
It was his genius at chipping the ball, at putting.
Yes.
He's as great a putter. I thought Jack Nicklaus was a great putter. Ben Crenshaw is a great putter. I'm not sure anybody's been a better clutch putter than that man has been. I'm talking about making clutch putts under fire.
Skip, I'm a casual golf fan. You follow it. You followed it for 40-plus years. Have you ever heard them say, we're going to jack-proof the course. We're going to Arnold-proof the course. We're going to Gary Player-proof the course. They say we're going to Tiger-proof it. That's what they did. When you changed the game, he's what Wilt Chamberlain was to basketball. They widened the lane. They made all these rules so Wilt wouldn't be so dominant. They changed golf so he couldn't be so dominant. How many tournaments would he have won because they had left the courses the same for years until he came along?
Yep. Oh, I agree. It was going everywhere.
Right.
Nobody has won a Masters missing more fairways off the tee than that man has.
Right.
What does that tell you? Genius at recovery.
Yes.
That's how you win golf tournaments, is with all the skill shots.
Yes.
And that's what he had.
Yeah.
But again, they panicked in 97, 98, like, wait a second. This isn't fair anymore because he's hitting 9 irons to the par 5, 15th hole.
But Skip, what he was doing, it wasn't that he was winning. It was by how much he was winning by. Skip, you're not supposed to beat somebody. You're not supposed to be the only golfer under par with 10-7. And you beat people
not supposed to win the Masters by 12 shots.
Yes.
You're not supposed to win the U.S. Open by 15 shots.
No.
Yeah.
Skip,
that's that guy.
Yeah. Skip, winning by sudden death, winning in a playoff, okay, fine. You win by 2 strokes, fine. Skip, you can't beat somebody by 12. I mean, they're going to change the rules. If somebody start beating a football team, win 3 or 4 Super Bowls, and they beat everybody by 40 points, Skip, they're going to change the rules.
Yep. So I read these crash details, and it just leaves me shaking my head, wondering what could have been, what should have been with that guy in his golf career.
Right.
And this is what it came to.
This is what it is. It's sad because I don't believe anybody has ever been as high and fallen as far.
No, No, that's true. It's a very sad story, but it's a great story.
The in between, the up and the down, but there's a lot of good in between. A lot, not good, great.
Just all-time great.
Yeah, great.
Never seen anything like it before.
And guess what? We probably never gonna see it again.
Yeah. In fact, I've said before, because golf is so hard to dominate.
Yes.
I don't think any man has ever dominated his sport for a period the way that man dominated golf.
No.
Yep.
Wow. I think, Shannon, you said it earlier, more questions than answers right now. But that is the latest with Tiger. We're going to leave it for now.
No mercy.
Well, last night, with the Clippers down 2 points at halftime to the Suns, the TNT crew was having a discussion about the Clippers, and Charles Barkley had plenty to say about the team and organization. And even after Paul George dropped 33 points and pulled off the win, Barkley still doubled down. Take a listen to the comments.
Do you think the Clippers are a contender?
No.
Or pretender?
Pretender.
Pretender. Why pretender?
At this stage of their career, Kawhi's won 2 championships. Paul George is an all-star. If I got them 2 guys, then I bring in Ibaka, then I bring in Batum, I'm like, damn, what else do I need? So, no, I do not think I don't think they're contenders at all. I've been poor, I've been rich, I've been fat, I've been skinny, I've been old, I've been in the Hall of Fame, and one thing I can always tell you, the Clippers have always sucked.
Wow. Okay, Shannon, are the Clippers pretenders?
I know Charles Barkley has always been a fool, too. He's very funny. He's very good at what he does. Skip, for me, this what Skip Bayless has taught me since I've been on the show. Nothing matters. I'm saying nobody cares about a Thursday night game. In April, who cares about Thursday night games in April when the playoffs really going to start in late May or early June? He also said that for you to bring Rondo in, when you got those other guys on your roster already for leadership, and I said it told me everything I needed to know. For me, Skip, it doesn't matter. I've seen Paul George do this. We saw him do it last year. Skip, remember, he missed the first couple of games, and then he came out the box, dropped 30, 35, 39, then another 37. So we've seen Paul George. Paul George one year finished third in the MVP voting. So I'm not surprised Paul George is an elite. He's a two-way player. I mean, a three-level player. He can shoot the three. He can get to the mid-range. He can drive all the way to the basket. 85, 88% free throw shooter. He can defend sometimes. So I've never questioned Paul George's ability. Now, maybe come playoff time, we don't see that level of consistency that we see in the regular season. But Paul George can play. Kawhi Leonard, he's been great in big moments, and then there have been other big moments that he hasn't come through. But, Skip, at the end of the day, none of this matters. It's championship or bust. And when you have those level of guys on your team, that's just like the Lakers. It's championship or bust. The Nets, it's championship or bust. The Clippers, they're one of the handful of teams. It's probably 3 or 4 teams, Skip. It's championship or bust. And the Clippers are one of those teams. So when it comes playoff time, I want to see Paul George go 7 of 9 from the 3. I want to see him take over the games like I've seen him take over games in the last month or so. That's what I want to see come playoff time. Not no meaningless Thursday night game against the Suns.
Okay, I hear what you said about Paul George, but I don't hear anything else that you said. And back to Charles Barkley, mostly he's the opposite of kiss of death. He's actually kiss of life. When he condemns you, you're probably going to win it all.
And
right?
if he says you go win it all,
right? Okay,
you done.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, he's been picking Portland. Right? Okay. So the irony of what Charles' point is that he's saying the mere fact that they needed Rondo shows you they're a pretender.
Right.
Because you would think that Kawhi, as a 2-time Finals MVP, and Paul George as a perennial All-Star, would be enough to figure it out by themselves.
Right.
So why do you need Rondo, and then why do you need all the other pieces that you had to go get, Ibaka and Batum?
Batum, yeah.
The point is, they did need Rondo. The point is, they would not have folded against the Denver Nuggets up 3-1 if they had had Rondo to set their table, to set them straight in the locker room, to snap them out of it. And the reason last night, a Thursday night in April, mattered was because it was Rondo's coming out party for the team in the basement at Staples Center. It was sensational what he pulled off because in 19 minutes, he scored 15 points and had 9 assists. And in the fourth quarter, Rajon Rondo had 8 points and 4 assists and did exactly what I told you he would now start doing for this team as he eased into their rotation. He doesn't start the games yet, but he will start, and he definitely will finish their games when they start to matter in the postseason. He will do for the Clippers what he did for your Lakers last year when he was the secret sauce for your Lakers. Yeah, you got LeBron, and yeah, you got AD, who just rose and shone in the postseason in the bubble. But you couldn't have won it without Rondo's contributions to me in Games 2 and Game 6 against Miami in the finals, because those were special games that he had. Yeah. Those were big games of big passes, big shots, big playmaking, big leadership, where he was the key ingredient at the end.
I'll give you that, Skip. He made big shots. I mean, shot clock running down. He's making big-time threes. He's driving the basketball. I think he had 19 points in the Game 6.
He did.
So he's had the big moments. The way he plays in the playoffs. But Skip, at one point in time, even in the regular season, when he was with Boston, Skip, he'd go get 40. People don't realize Rondo once scored 40 points in a playoff game against the Miami Heat.
He did. Highly capable.
Yes.
Okay. So last night, I sat back in awe because let me show you. Here's his first swoop to the hoop. And I hadn't seen this yet with the Clippers. And I'm thinking, is he an aging player? But here's the first time he just says, okay, watch this. I'm going to go. Okay. There was another one that was even better than that early on. But, okay, this is still this play. Let's go to the end of the game when he put the icing on the cake on Chris Paul. Okay, we're still doing. Here we go. This is Rondo right in Chris Paul's face. And this is a big shot. It's still reasonable, like you thought Phoenix was still going to have a run in them because they'd had a bunch of runs in them. And that was like, sorry, that's game over. And then he hits Kawhi, if we could see this.
He did it a couple of times last year in the ball. But he's capable of Skip.
That's him. And then here's to Kawhi. And this is just special Rondo right here. This is what he can do. That's just special. That's just Cincinnati. LeBron is obviously capable of that, but they didn't have this. They didn't have somebody who could set their table and put Kawhi and Paul George in position to make shots not off the dribble. So look what's been happening to Kawhi and Paul George this year. They're both averaging a career high in assists because they do it themselves. Yeah. They've been the point forwards for this team. Well, watch what starts happening. Well, he had 9 assists last night in a very short stint. Well, he'll start leading this team in assists, and they haven't had that. So Charles's point is wrong-headed. It's upside down because Rondo is just exactly what the doctor ordered.
They need a true point guard. Patrick Beverley is nice. Patrick Beverley is more of a defensive guy. Reggie Jackson is more of a 2. He's looking to score the basketball. Yeah. Rondo can score the basketball, but he'd rather have 15 assists and 5 points as opposed to 15 points and 5 assists. So there's the difference between Pat Bev is not the level of offensive player from an assist standpoint that Rondo is. Reggie Jackson can score the basketball, but he's not the offensive mind that can get the offense set like Rondo can. So Rondo he's a better player than both of those guys, given what they need. It's going to take a lot off of the plate of Paul George, off of Kawhi Leonard. So now all they have to worry about, let me get to my spot, Rondo's going to give me the ball. I saw it last night. They were running the break, and it was just like a little touch pass. Rondo get it and just touch it right over the top, and it's an and one.
Okay. So I'm going to remind everyone, this team is leading the league in three-point shooting at 42%. They made 18 threes last night.
Well, yeah, you do that. Yeah, they're going to be contenders. You keep making 18.
But they've been doing it every night. They're 42%. Your team is ranked 23rd in the league in three-point shooting. The Lakers, they're 35%. This team, the Clippers, leads the league in free throw shooting at 84%. As a team, they're 84. LeBron by himself is 70%. So they're 84%. Your Lakers rank 25th in free throw shooting at 74%. That's going to bite you when it comes time to win playoff games because this is a three-point shooting league, and in the end, it's a free throw shooting league.
We're going to be ahead by so much it won't matter.
Okay, well, you better be because this team is coming for you. This team is built to beat the Lakers.
We saw what you did. You had a 16-point lead in the first half, and somehow by halftime, the Suns had the lead.
The Suns are really good.
They really good. We great. That's the difference between the two.
So all of a sudden, Paul George has sprung back to life, and he can score with anybody. I agree with your point. I'd like to see it when it matters.
Yeah.
But you're seeing, you saw it when it mattered a little bit on opening night against the Lakers. And it was an early statement game, and I know it was forever ago. It feels like it's 5 years ago, but it was on December 22nd. What did he do? He scored 33, but he scored 26 in the second half, and he wound up hitting 5 out of 8 threes. He hit 7 out of 9 last night. Highly capable of just blowing teams off the court with his firepower because he's 6 feet 8 inches tall. And when he gets cooking, you just can't stop it because you can't block his shot or bother his shot.
And when he ice cold, he be blowing layups and hitting side of the backboard. So which Paul George which Paul George do you believe?
I want the Rondo Paul George. I want the guy that Rondo will keep in line, that will keep afloat. That will challenge Paul George and snap him out of his skunk funks that he falls into because it can get stinky.
So I'm glad you know that.
Well, it's obvious. But what I also know is this team is even deeper to me than the Nets, not in firepower talent, but just in basketball players. This team comes at you in waves.
I don't know about that, Skip.
Well, how do you not see that?
I mean, they're going to have Claxton. They're going to have Tyler Johnson coming off the bench. They're going to have Blake Griffin coming off the bench.
Okay, but look at this bunch. With Reggie Jackson, he can score. He can go get you 40 on any night. And Rondo's been coming off the bench, and Batum is going back and forth between. He's the glue of this team. Patrick Patterson is still a basketball player. Terrence Mann has had a coming out party as a real player, a contributor this year. And remember, Ibaka is not even playing right now, and he's 7 feet tall and can shoot threes, and he's a clutch shooter.
You ain't worried about all that.
Yeah?
You ain't worried about nothing. The next topic we talking about, I think the next topic we talking about, that go clear all this up. The next topic we talking about.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. And by the way, have you been noticing what your man Big Zoo keeps doing? Used to be a Laker, now a Clipper. I mean, he just keeps dominating people, and he's going to dominate Andre Drummond.
Don't do that, Skip. Now, you know that ain't going to happen.
Well, yes, he will. He can at least stand off Andre Drummond. Well, he's 7 feet tall.
Too much. He ain't got enough bricks in the back pocket.
Well, I think he
We'll
does.
just lodge him. Get him up out of there.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Well, and there's also this guy named DeMarcus Cousins that they just signed, and boy, he looked like the vintage DeMarcus.
Well, like I said, I mean, you named a lot of great guys. You got Kawhi and Paul George and Big Zoo and Serge Ibaka and Marcus DeMar Sr. But I want to know who's going to guard Goat James and who's going to guard AD. You still hadn't told me that.
Well, I got lots of Goat James guards.
No, you don't.
Quote unquote Goat James.
You saw what he did. Skip.
I got Kawhi. I got Paul George. I got Batum.
Do you remember what happened on that Sunday? Do you remember what happened on that Sunday?
What Sunday?
That Sunday last year when LeBron James gave him that work. Do you remember what happened opening night in the bubble?
Wait, are you talking about the Avery Bradley game?
No, I don't do that, Skip.
Well, that's what he did. He made 5 threes in the third quarter. Well, then it's game over. You got me.
Hold on.
Is Avery Bradley still a Laker? No, he's not.
You said that last year in the bubble. You said we ain't going to be able to do nothing without Avery Bradley.
Well, I didn't know the Clippers were going to fold.
I did.
And I didn't know the Heat were going to be so hurt when you got them in game one. The 5th seed, you got to play in the finals without Bam and without Dragic.
I knew.
That's a mismatch.
Because every time I go to the cleaners, I say, can you fold these and give them back to me? And I knew that's what the Clippers going to do. They were going to fold and give you right back those Skip Bayless.
Think they're going to fold with Rondo?
Fold!
You know what? The Clippers don't suck anymore. The Clippers are going to win the West. And I got to see on health how we all shape up when it's going to be Clippers, Nets in the finals. But I still give this team a real shot against the Nets depending on health. It all depends. And by the way, Kawhi has been pretty healthy, wouldn't you say? And the one guy I didn't mention is Patrick Beverley. And he is the difference maker, fire starter for this team. He's the enforcer, like
17 minutes, 0-2, 0-1, 0-0-0-0, minus 9.
But you know what he did? The most valuable play was for the Clippers when he got ejected because Phoenix had been talking mess all night long, most of it directed at Paul George. And can we just see quickly what Patrick Beverley did with 7 minutes left? He said, I've had enough of this. So here's what, we don't have this one, I guess. Oh, we don't have this one. But
what did he do?
He just cheap shotted Chris Paul on a break. You could say he was just trying to stop the fast break, but it was a cheap shot. He got a flagrant 2. He got ejected. But trust me, his teammates loved it.
Well, I just want to know, but why does everybody keep on talking to Paul George? Why are they talking foul to him?
Well, you know why? Because he folded in the bubble. He had issues, right?
They talk foul to that man. And they're still doing it?
Especially Devin Booker. And so Patrick said, okay, well, watch this. And that's what he does.
I'm trying to think. Phoenix ain't really got no enforcer. I mean, I guess if you gonna say the only one they got really is Jay Crowder. But I mean, he might be too. See, the thing is, that's the difference, Skip. They can lose Pat Beverly, they don't miss a beat. Everybody else feels are valuable to them. You can't be dealing with no Pat Beverly. Get your retribution on Patrick Beverly because you're going to cost your team more than he costs his team. So you just let it fly. You just let it fly.
Shannon, you're in trouble. This team is going to be way too much for your team.
Nope.
Not too worried for your team. Oh, should we talk about Shannon's team?
Yeah.
Actually, you've been wanting to talk about this guy. Andre Drummond returned to the Lakers last night after injuring his toe in his debut just over a week ago. The big man finished with 15 points and 12 boards in 27 minutes, but it came in a 110-104 loss to the Heat. Shannon, give Drummond a letter grade for his first full Lakers.
Yeah, man. This is what we Skip. This is all we need. This is all we need, Andre Drummond. We don't need him to give us 20 and 20. We don't need him to give us a 30-20 ball game. That's what we need. If he can give us this, when the GOATs come back healthy, Katie Bardo for you. Yeah, you know who. I know you don't know who Katie is. I know you don't know who Katie is. But
somebody needs to introduce me to Katie because she is something.
But she barred it. And you and the Clippers won't be able to get into the championship game. That's what Katie gonna do for you. 15 and 12 in 27 minutes, that's perfect. And just in a nick of time, KCP starting to heat up from 3.
Really?
Yeah.
KC3, as they call it?
Yeah, you saw that, Skip. Now, I was a little disappointed in Schroeder last night. 7 turnovers. We can't have 7 turnovers. And that's what the difference in the ball game was, Skip.
What was he, like 2 of 19 or something?
He's
like
2
that?
of 12.
Oh, okay.
But Skip, 20, what they have, 20-something turnovers? 22 turnovers? You're not beating anybody with 22 turnovers. But see, when you got the ball in Schroeder's hands so extensively, that's what's going to happen. Goat come back and take that thing over. You already know what the deal is. So I love what I saw from Andre Drummond. I love the guys. The guys are playing hard. And also, look, I ain't going to mention his name because we played without him last. I mean, they suspended Tucker. I mean, come on, man.
He left the bench. Can't leave the bench. It's a rule. I don't love it, but it's enforced. Gone.
Y'all won a championship like that.
Y'all Spurs.
Yeah. I'm glad. It's funny how you knew exactly what I was talking about. It's very funny.
We got a break. I'm not saying we won the championship because of it.
Amari Stoudemire got suspended.
That was Steve Nash's team.
Amari Stoudemire was first team All-NBA.
We would have won it anyway. We're just better. Yeah,
it's easy for you to say that now. But, Skip, I like what I saw. And he did a great job. Bam only had 13.7 rebounds. He averages 19 and 10. So we held him to, 6 points and 3 rebounds under what he normally averages. But I like what I saw from Shaq Drummond. And we're going to be okay. Once we get the goals back, we got something for you.
I thought he was Kareem Abdul-Drummond.
You be able, whatever you want to.
Again, Jeannie Buss compared on Instagram her signing and welcoming in Kareem Abdul-Drummond to her father welcoming Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's the way you took it.
Well, that's what she did. She posted them side by side. And the message was, I got my Kareem Abdul.
That ain't what.
Yep, that's what she's saying. And good luck. So I'm going to give him a B+ because I can't go into the A range because of what Oladipo did to him, and I'm not sure we have this, but we might. We might have what Did you see what Oladipo did?
That wasn't even his man. Stop it.
Look. Where's Oladipo? Oh, here he comes. Andre! He just got slammed over.
Skip, he was on the side of it.
Okay, but he tried to go up and contest it, and he got slammed on by a 6'4" guy.
Now, if he'd have did with the Drummond what LeBron did to Nurkic, I'd have said, Skip, you're right. He got him. But that I
think he got him. Well, given that he's Kareem Abdul-Drummond, given that he's led the league in rebounding 4 times.
He has done that. Has he not done that?
He's a shot blocker. Is he Dwight Howard? Is he JaVale McGee? No, he's not.
Let me ask you a question. Is he better at this point of his career than either one of those guys?
Better at what?
Is he a better player at right now, at 27 years of age?
Overall player?
Yes.
I guess in a vacuum you could say that, but it's not what you need. You need some edge. You need some toughness. You need some grit.
We got it.
You need somebody who will hard foul, who will not let Oladipo go right by him and dunk over him.
No. That's not his. That's the guards. Stay in front of Oladipo. But don't skip. You do understand that Andre Drummond is not going to be the central figure in this movie.
Well,
you do understand that.
You keep calling him the third of the big three.
But Skip, yes, you understand that. Like in The Godfathers, it was Brando. Brando was the lead. I mean, people don't really talk about Al Pacino that much. It's Brando.
Well, was he? I don't think they say that.
Brando. So we got. When is our Marlon Brando coming back?
When is your Marlon Brando coming back?
Go James.
You know, that's right. Brando was in there briefly here and there. That's right. That's kind of LeBron in year 18.
But he was the central figure. I mean, when Brando does a movie, did anybody top him? He might have been in there for one scene. It's Brando. When Goat's on your team, he might not play, but coming back, we're going to slowly build him into it. But we got something. We're going to talk.
By the way, I watched Godfather 2 last weekend, and you know, De Niro just took that over. I'm sorry. He was even beyond Brando. So maybe Andre Drummond is De Niro. I don't know.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay. So, Andre Drummond, I'm going to remind you, when he was in Cleveland, he had 157 post-ups this season, and he passed the ball out of those post-ups a grand total of 21 times because he's a ball stopper. He's a ball eater. It just disappears into to the big Andre. You go in and it disappears because he's usually going to shoot it. And he's going to have to figure out how not to do that with this team because that won't work.
Because guess what, Skip? We're going to be moving the ball. That's AD. That's LeBron. Can you imagine how many lobs he going to get?
Okay.
How many easy buckets he going to get? When they go to double AD or they go to double Bron, he going to be right there, right up under the basket. Bloop, bloop, coop.
So he could terrorize Bam. Bam's like 6'9", right? And yet Andre's only 6'10". He's not exactly 7'2" like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
That's okay.
was, right?
But that body weight, though, Skip, you see how we move people.
He looks kind of skinny to me. Like he's lost. He said he lost like 15 pounds when he wasn't playing.
Well, he had 15 to lose, but he ain't skinny.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. So I'm going to remind everybody, this man that is part of your big three now is 0-8 in NBA playoff games, shooting 36% from the free throw line. I'm going to give him this. He made 5 out of 6 last night.
I was going to bring
and
that
I will
up.
give you this. He has really improved his form. It looks good. It looks pretty pure.
Yes.
But I don't know what's going to happen when the lights get bright because, to your point, that was just a Thursday night in April.
Yeah.
And there's no LeBron and no AD and no THT and no Kuzma, for that matter. So when you go full strength and all of a sudden he's in the spotlight and it's late in games, can he step up and make those shots when it's Drummond?
Yep.
I don't know.
Hey, yeah, but you talking about when the lights get bright. Well, I'm waiting on Paul George to do that. Because since 2014, I hadn't seen him do much in the playoffs, Skip. Have you?
Well, all I know is Paul George this year is shooting. Paul George is an 89% free throw shooter. So are you tell me Andre's a better free throw shooter than Paul George?
No, I'm not telling you any of that. I'm not telling you Andre Drummond is a better player than Paul George because he's not. But I'm also telling you I haven't seen Paul George do much in the playoffs in a very, very long time.
Well, all I know is 0-8 in the playoffs for Kareem Abdul-Drummond and 0-1 in NCAA games because he lost as the favored team to Iowa State and scored 2 points in his one NCAA game.
Well, last time I saw Paul George do something in the playoff, hammer was a hatchet. Do you know how long you got to beat a hammer to turn it into a hatchet? Well, it's been that long. So, wake me up. You keep telling me opening night what he did, and you keep telling me all this and all that. You told me the playoffs is what matters. That's what you told me.
And that will matter for Andre Drummond, whose nickname, by the way, you know what they called him back in Cleveland, Detroit? They call him the Big Penguin. Have you heard that?
No.
Because he's a penguin fan. He likes real penguins, like Happy Feet, like the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, those are his favorite movies, are penguin movies. So they call him the Big Penguin. Last night, he kind of looked like a big penguin to me.
He gave Bam that work, though, wasn't he?
Was he?
He gonna give Zoob that work, too.
Oh,
go give Rudy.
we
gonna give all that work. And we gonna, Yoke, who's actually probably gonna win the MVP this year, we gonna give him that work, too.
I just can't wait for the playoffs because this guy has never felt any pressure in his life like he is about to feel. I feel sorry for Andre the Big Penguin Drummond because this is a spotlight next to LeBron James that is hard to live up to.
Skip, for me, when I first started going to school, I had 3 aunts in high school, my sister and my brother. I was the only little kid. I was 5 years old. I had a seat by myself. Everybody else was sitting 3 to a seat. Ain't nobody sitting down with me because they going to have to deal with my aunts, my sister, and my brother. Leave me be. So that's what he's saying. Andre Drummond ain't got nothing to worry about. He got them 2 big brothers. He got baby goat and big goat. He ain't got a thing to worry. Don't you worry about him.
Really?
Yeah, don't worry. We got this. We got something for you. Now, see, I want you to see that energy that you talking about Paul George and Kawhi Rondo. Now, I don't want no excuses, Skip. I don't want LeBron got the biggest break in NBA history. I'm not so sure he was hurt. I'm not so sure AD was hurt. It was rest. I don't want to hear that, Skip. I don't want to hear that. No. Look at me.
Where are they?
No.
What happened to them?
You see them on the sideline cheering their team on.
They actually started attending games for the first time in a long time.
Well, the doctor advised LeBron to stay off that.
Stay off that ankle?
Yep.
So that means you can't go shoot your free throws?
Hold on. Time out, Skip. Just because we're not like somebody else we about to talk about and post everything we do, don't worry about that. Yeah. And see, what you see in the light, you don't know that we had already done that in the dark.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about your favorite NFL player, the greatest player in NFL history, Tom Brady.
That's how it works, Kim.
Good. Can't wait.
That's how it works.
Everything that's performed in the light had been done in darkness.
No mercy.
So yesterday, Tom Brady shared his recent family vacation to Qatar on social media. The quarterback also took the opportunity to reflect on his 7th Super Bowl title and how he's already looking at number 8. Check it out.
7? I never would have dreamt of 7. 7 is monumental. 7 is enormous. 7 is inspirational. 7 is a profound achievement. 7 leaves you craving more. 7? I'll miss 7. Now, I'm focused on 8.
Oh, when I saw this, my first thought was, what does Shannon think about it? Do you like it, love it, or hate it?
Really?
Really?
Really, Skip? So that's where we are right now. Now, I know a guy that when he posts things, why is he posting? Just do it. You love this. Right, Skip? You love this, right? I'm not smoking. You want me to go right now? No, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to say a thing.
You want me to go?
No, I do not want you to go. Skip. If somebody else posts something of a workout or telling you how motivated they are, you get so upset. Why do you need to tell us, mainly LeBron? Yep. Why don't you just show us? Mm-hmm. Skip, I get it. If you didn't get so upset with LeBron, I'm not really upset with this because I believe this is the way you should approach it. You should be happy with what you accomplished, but don't settle and rest on that. If you scale Mount Kilimanjaro, or if you scale K2 or the Pikes Peak or something like that, appreciate what you've done. But Everest is where it's at. So yes, 7, 5, 6, 7 is a great accomplishment. It is a great feat. No one has attained 6. No one has obtained 7. But 8 is the goal now. But only Tom Brady gets to post about what he's accomplished or wants to accomplish, and everybody praises him. But let LeBron says he won't 5, because we're going to talk about LeBron a little bit. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, why Michael Jordan would have never done that. Michael Jordan wouldn't even own a phone. Michael Jordan doesn't even have cell phone. He doesn't have internet.
Yep.
Everything we possibly can to beat the man down. Tom Brady does it. It's the greatest thing, every invention that's ever been made. I'm happy for Tom that he's able to get 7. I'm glad he's already... But hold on, wait a second. I just read last week he had surgery on his knee. Jenny, damn, he walking good for a guy that just had surgery.
I told you it was minor.
How many knees he opened? That's not what you said. That's not what you said. The report said once you find out how serious this knee injury is, you're going to be surprised. That's what the article said, Skip Bayless. It didn't say nothing about minor. It said once you find out how serious this knee injury is and what he dealt with. So which is it? How many legs does he have?
Minor.
That he's able to walk like that after having the surgery.
Tell me when you're finished.
Congratulations, Tom.
Yep.
Enjoy Qatar. I want to go to Qatar. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Qatar. Congratulations.
I would like to go to Qatar.
No, I want to go to
I want to go
to Africa.
All right. And I'd like to go to Africa.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's your turn. Your turn.
All right. Like it, love it, or hate it was the question. I will tell you this, in all honesty, I did not love this.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Really?
That's my answer. I did not love this.
Okay.
It's just a little too over the top for me. He is piling on a little too much for my taste. And I will be the first to tell you, I would have killed LeBron for this.
Okay.
But LeBron is not Tom Brady. Here's the point. This is the new Tom Brady. This is the one who's out from under the iron fist of Bill Belichick. This is the one who has established a new Patriot way in Tampa Bay. And it's a hang loose Patriot way. It's a let's have fun and win championships Patriot way. It's the Bucs way.
Right.
And because of that, he has gone a little crazy on social media. And clearly, he has hired a full-time social media person who travels with him everywhere he goes.
Yes.
So whoever that person is trying to earn his salary by saying, hey, Tom, what about, how about this? How about that? And Tom keeps saying, yeah, we can do that. Let's try that. let's do that. And they shot it like it was a movie, right? And you get to see a lot of dramatic poses and melodramatic poses. I will tell you this. I think part of this is tongue-in-cheek by Tom Brady. He doesn't take it that seriously, and he's doing it with a grin, with tongue slightly in cheek, because he knows it's a little over the top. But he just keeps on posting these kind of things, maybe to a fault, because I'm surprised that he hasn't sort of let it go. We know you're on to 8, but they were in Qatar, and here's this monument that is called 7, and so he's trying to take advantage of 7, leaping to 8, and show the football with a big 8.
So I guess next year, if he were to win 8, he's going to find the 8th wonder of the world and says, hey, here we are.
Oh, here we are.
8 was good, but...
Okay, I also think that so many people doubted him so strongly going to Tampa. So many did, not just you. You set a tone for it, but so many people just thought he was, as LeBron says, washed. And so many people thought it would be impossible to right that team in midstream in the middle of a pandemic that he is so proud of what he pulled off. It's the proudest achievement of his entire career, I think, and I think he knows that he took a 7-9 team with no preseason games and turned it around basically 2/3 through the season. They win their last 8 and win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And he's so proud of it. He's trying to rub your nose back in it again and again and again. And I get that. He's going on 44 years of age on August the 3rd. And so he's enjoying this later career burst, this star burst in his career, because it's phenomenal that he just won his 7th Super Bowl. Well, okay, for me, it's a little much because I always tell you about LeBron, as you said. Don't keep telling me, just go show me. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I believe he will show you. They should be the favorite to me to win it all. They are not the favorite, but I believe they will win it all again next year because they are set up to win it all.
But Skip, the thing is that when you're accomplished as Tom Brady and you still continue to play, why else would you be playing if it wasn't for 8? Because at this juncture, Skip, when you were accomplished as him, wins don't matter. Division titles don't matter. Passing records don't matter. You play for the ultimate prize. You've enjoyed that feeling, that taste, more than any other player in NFL history.
You have.
So we know why you're continuing to play, because you want to get to 8.
Although he did say the other day to Michael Strahan, he said, I have a sickness for throwing a freaking spiral, meaning I just can't stop playing football because I'm addicted to playing football.
Right.
Well, you can appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay? Yes.
So again, yes, 8 is the goal, but the more short-term goal is I just want to play football because I love playing football and I don't see any reason to stop.
No, Skip. It's not good enough for him to play football. He still has to play football and be great at it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not going to be good enough for him, Skip. He can't just be – Tom Brady can never be a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He'll stop mid-season. If he failed himself being, he'll stop mid-season. Because when you're this great, Skip, you got to continue. You've got to continue to play. And you got to play it at that level that we've become accustomed to you playing at. Because think about it. He's been greater longer than anybody else has been greater. First of all, there haven't been very many people to play this many years, let alone stay in their prime, in their greatness as long as he has.
Okay, I got that. But if, hypothetically, a fortune teller told him, Tom, sorry, but you're not going to win next year's championship. You're going to lose.
Oh, he gone.
No, he's not gone.
He gone.
If the
that's the only thing that drives him.
You're going to lose in the NFC championship.
He gone.
No, he's not gone. He doesn't want to do anything else.
I know.
He doesn't play enough golf to scratch that competitive itch.
Skip.
He knows there's no reason physically for him not to play football.
I believe Tom plays because the ultimate prize out there is that believes he can catch it.
Well, sure.
It's like, Skip, the dog, we always say, why that dog chasing the car? Hell, he can't drive it if he do catch it. But Tom Brady, you're like, Tom, why you still playing? Because I believe I can catch Lombardi at the end of the season. That's it.
Okay, I got that. But in the bigger picture, it's that he just wants to compete playing football because he's addicted to it.
But Skip,
he loves the process that you didn't love.
There's no question he loves that. But at the end of the process, He has to believe that there's
sure.
a payoff.
No, I got
knowing that there's not a payoff at the end. Skip, that's why it was so easy for him to leave New England. Because remember, at the very end, they said, well, come on, Tom, they want to give you that, we'll give you that. He knew the payoff wasn't going to be there. He said, no, I'm going to take my chances somewhere else. An unknown entity in a pandemic. I'd rather go there and face the unknown, but knowing that I got a chance at the end. I got no chance with y'all, man. Who y'all kidding? Y'all saw what I went through. Y'all got me thinking I'm washed. I'm trash. It's what y'all got around me.
His head coach tried to get rid of him in 2017.
He did.
His head coach, after he threw for 138 yards in the fourth quarter against Jacksonville with 12 stitches in his throwing palm,
right,
said it wasn't exactly open heart surgery. Didn't give him any credit.
He did.
His coach in the Super Bowl, when he threw for 505, a playoff record yardage passing, somehow gave up 41 points to Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles because he doghoused Malcolm Butler inexplicably. That's what Tom wanted out from under it. I agree with you. He's looking at the cupboard as bare.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't have anything here. And the cupboard was not bare in Tampa, but we've seen a lot of talented Dallas Cowboy teams that just couldn't win because there was a missing ingredient.
Skip, the only time you heard the Glazers talk was on the stage. I mean,
The first time
you heard the Glazers talk.
I agree.
They didn't talk when they signed Tom Brady. They didn't talk during the season. It was only after they got the trophy that you heard the sons talk because the fathers passed. You heard the sons talking. Jerry Jones talking every week. He got a radio and a TV show.
Yep. Okay.
So if he get out the way, they might be able to do something.
Yeah. Does Jerry truly believe they can win next year's Super Bowl? Probably not. Does Brady believe they can win next year? You better believe he does.
Jerry is more concerned about being box office. He want to be the greatest show. He want to be the greatest show on turf.
Does Jerry believe with all his heart and soul that they will have the biggest ratings next year?
Yeah.
With Dak back in the saddle? Yep, he does, and they will.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what excites Jerry.
I agree. In the end, that's his priority.
No mercy. NFL.com released a list of players who will be facing a make-or-break season in 2021. Ezekiel Elliott came in at number 4 on the list after he finished with career lows in yards per game, yards per carry, and total touchdowns. So, Shannon, will this year be make or break for Zeke?
Skip, we don't normally see running backs after they lose it ever regain it. Because a lot of that has to do with sometimes the line gets old. And the running back is just a position, Skip. When you get that kind of mileage on you and you have those years, it's just hard to get it back. And what we've seen from Zeke, you've highlighted this on numerous occasions, we see where he was his rookie year and then his second year, third year, even though he missed, he would have led the league in rushing again, although he led the league in yards per game. He missed those, 6 games? He had an okay, he bounced back. But then we still see it keep creeping towards down, not up. And that's not good. But I think the biggest reasons why this is going to be break, Skip, you don't pay a guy $40 million and say, well, hand it off to the running back 25, 30 times a game. You're thinking about taking, Jared's infatuated with Kyle Pitts. So if you got Kyle Pitts, you got Amari Cooper, you got CD Lamb and Michael Gallup, Skip, what the hell you think you're going to do with the football? You going to run it 25, 30 times or you going to throw it 35, 40 times?
50 times.
Okay, exactly. Yeah. So he's in a very precarious predicament. For the simple fact is his age, he's not the same back. I don't believe we're ever going to see that Zeke we saw his first 2 years. And when you combine that with where they're going offensively, you just gave a quarterback the most money in the history of the game to sign. The second most guaranteed money, Skip, $40 million a year. And you say, you know what? Hey, $40 million guy, we want you to turn around and hand the ball to Zeke, or we want you to turn around and hand the ball off 30 times a game. I don't see that happening, Skip. I don't see Zeke bouncing back, a part of it because of the mileage that's on his body, but also the use that they're going to be using. I don't think they use him like they once did. And so the combination of those two things, I don't see it happening.
I'm going to remind you, Mr. Sharpe, that going back 2 years ago, I kept saying, I don't see it anymore. I don't know what happened to my guy Zeke. And you kept saying, he's fine. He's still Zeke.
He was still Zeke.
And now you've come full circle around to it's going to be bust, right?
It's going to be hard, Skip, to get it back. It's gonna be hard.
Okay.
The offensive line is not what they once were. Skip, they good, but they're not, Skip. They don't dominate like they once did. Used to come in here and talk about, I got the best offensive line in football. We dominate time of possession.
Now I could have a top 5 offensive line if they all stay healthy.
Exactly.
Okay. I never thought it would come to this quickly. And I remind you, Zeke is only still 25 years of age.
That's crazy.
I know he's 25. He does turn 26 on July 22nd, so he'll play next year at 26. But it's still crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy that he is now my X factor for how far my Cowboys go next year. Mm-hmm. Can they win the division? We got a bunch of cases bet on that.
Yes.
I say yes, maybe by default. But I'm going to go make for him, not break for him next year, but I do so without the usual courage of my conviction. I'll just tell you straight up, I'm barely hanging in with make instead of break,
right,
because I don't have anything to back it up,
right,
except that Dak is back in the saddle.
Right.
And that's his best friend, and that's his inspiration. And maybe if Dak can come back full force, 100% or even 98% healthy off his 2 ankle surgeries, mm-hmm, then maybe it re-inspires Zeke to get in a little better shape in training camp after the pandemic with no camp. Maybe he's sort of faded out through that, so to speak. And, you know, we can almost trace his demise back to when he came back from Cabo and got his money. And Jerry caved in, just like he did with Dak in the end, but at least it wasn't a $40 million a year cave. Right. It was a $15 million a year cave, but that was the most running back money paid to anybody in football, right? Highest paid running back, 6 years, at least it's 6 years. Dak's only 4 years. Dak took Jerry to the bank and the cleaners all at once, all at once. Zeke went 6 years, so you can spread it out. Right. You still got to pay that piper down the line, right, but you spread it out 6 years, $90 million, $15 million a year, $50 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Dak got $126 million guaranteed.
Yeah. That got 75 in the first year.
75 in the first year. So I'll remind everybody, because as painful as it is to remember this, you have to put it in this context and perspective. When this man was a rookie, he took this league over.
He led the league in rushing.
He led it in rushing. He averaged 109 yards a game. Mm-hmm. Last year, he had 200-plus yard games total. Those are my 2 blips, not trends, blips.
Right.
So I'm hoping for 5 blips next year, 500-plus yards. So he goes 109 a game in his rookie year, and they go 13-3 in large part because of that 109.
Correct.
And then it's 98 the second year. Not bad.
98 is not bad.
Another Pro Bowl year.
Yes.
And then it's 96 the third year. Not terrible. And then all of a sudden he gets paid, and it drops to 85. And then it drops last year to hitting bottom at 65 yards a game. 65 a game for Ezekiel Elliott, the highest paid running back in pro football. Pro Football Focus, your favorite website, ranked him 46th among running backs last year. An overall grade, 46. 46th? And you're the highest paid? 2 + 2 equals, I lose.
It ain't add up.
It adds up to, what were they, 6 and 10?
6 and 10.
Okay, there you go. And my least favorite stat in the history of the Dallas Cowboys was what happened during 2019, when I still thought they were a really good football team. They got off to that rip-roaring start, 3-0. And then Dak and Jerry went to war over the contract, and you know what happened down the stretch. They went 5-8 down the stretch. Yeah. But the key stat there was on first down. Zeke had the second most carries on first down in the league, and his yards per carry on first down averaged 18th. Well, there's another 2 + 2 equals 8 and 8. That's what it equaled.
Right.
Okay. So I lost the punch. I lost the ability to hand it to 21 and have things happen that nobody could produce in the league.
But let me ask you this, Skip. How do you know if he's going to come back? If you have the receiver, Pro Football Focus says you have the best set of receivers in the NFL.
They did.
You just played a quarterback $40 million a year. So how will you know, considering what you're going to do? It's going to be hard for a running back. When you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Travis Kelce, you have Tyreek Hill, for a running back to get 1,400 yards in that offense, Skip, because they throw it. So how will we know if Zeke is what you think or what you hope he to be?
Okay, I tell you this sheepishly, but yesterday I read a story that Zeke has posted on social media, photoshopping that he might go to number 15. Again, the league has not allowed numbers below 20 for running backs. They have to be 20 to 49.
Right.
Well, they're going to vote on a rule that would allow the running back numbers to go below 20.
Right.
At Ohio State, he wore 15.
Right.
And I'm going to remind everybody, down the stretch of that year, what year was that, 2014?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014. Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin, 220 yards. Alabama in the national semifinal against St. Nick's defense, 230. And then against Oregon in the national championship game, 246. Maybe if he puts 15 back on, I'll get 150 out of it. I don't know, because that's all I'm clinging to right now is I need that guy. I need a little dose of that guy.
But I don't know, Skip, if the NFL going to let all these guys just switch numbers like that, because what are they going to do with the 21s? Because everybody, I want this single-digit number. I want this number. What the NFL going to say, hold on. We had all these numbers printed up with Beckham and this one on the back, Skip. What are we going to do with these jerseys?
Well, it's a great way to sell more jerseys, right?
Yeah, but, Skip, I don't want a jersey that the guy no longer represents.
Well,
yeah, I get it from your standpoint, yeah. You see with the NBA, Skip, they got a different jersey on every night. They got like 1,500 different they got a different uniform on every night. I get it, Skip.
Some of the Lakers, like they come out in like Carolina blue, and I'm like, well, that doesn't work.
What does that work? Them and the Miami Heat got more uniforms than anybody I've seen. But Skip, I'm saying though, so what are they going to do if, let's just say Derrick Henry says, I want to be number 2 like he was at Alabama. What are they going to do with them 22 Henrys?
Well, I don't know. You don't think that cha-ching, like for the NFL?
Because the NBA, Skip, they have, if your favorite player get traded, you can go take the jersey back. So do I get to take this 22 back if my favorite player changes his number?
I don't know. So I cling to this. Last year at Minnesota, our game of the year is our best game overall that we played against a pretty good Vikings team. We won 31-28. CD made the catch of the year. Remember all that?
Yes.
In that game, Zeke went 21 times for 103 yards. Wow. He went over 100.
Yeah.
And then in that game against Philly late in the year that they won 37-17.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it was Jalen Hurts. I got it. He went 19 carries for 105 yards. He went over 100. Those are my only 200-plus games of the year. So if you give me 5 of those next year, I'll say I'll say he's quote-unquote back.
There ain't nothing to be. He had his tongue over the 100-yard line.
He did.
He didn't have a foot or a body. He got 103 and 105.
And the other problem, speaking of tongue hanging out, is that there are too many times the last 2 years where Zeke just waved out of games after a big carry. He'll go for 20 yards, and then he waves to the sideline. I'm like, what are you doing? This is when running backs just wear you out. This is when our man Eric Dickerson said, give me the rock.
Right.
I want to run it down your throat. Okay. I got you on your heels.
Right.
And he's waving out. I can't go anymore. What?
Well, maybe he go back to 15, then he won't wave out. You'll be happy about
maybe
that.
21 weighs him down a little too much, plus 6, right?
So you said it's going to be a make year.
Yeah, barely. Okay. Barely make. Well, I got to have something.
Well, you're going to be mad if it's a make year for Zeke, you're going to be mad at Dak.
Well, remember, I'm going to have to go with Zeke Pollard because I need Tony Pollard to give me a little bit, too.
Well, if you're going to
subsidize.
Hold on, time out.
I got to.
Well, how you expect Zeke to be Zeke when he got to split carries? He going to split, He going to split carries, and he going to get less touches because they're throwing the ball.
He has to catch his breath occasionally, right?
Oh, man, the way you talking, it sounds like Zeke about to have 600 yards.
Yeah, maybe.
No mercy. For the first time ever, it's a WrestleMania edition of SmackDown. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Don't miss out on the special WrestleMania edition of SmackDown. It gets started with tag team champions Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode defending their title in a fatal 4-way. Plus, more than 20 superstars go at it in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's all tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Hey, you know what? I'm going to have to check in and see how this is, guys. It's got me ready for it. I'm going to talk about the Clippers next, though. They made a statement last night by taking down the Suns 113-103. Paul George had a game-high 33 points, and L.A. snapped the Suns' 7-game winning streak. While Charles Barkley was calling out the Clippers, Shaq came to Paul George's defense. Take a listen.
Paul, this is Shaq. I don't have a question. I just want to commend you, brother. Last year, the players didn't do very well. I think you know that. Everybody jumped on you. They criticized you. They chastised you. You didn't complain. You took it like a man, and you're balling out, brother. I want to say congratulations and good luck this year. Very proud of you, young man. I respect you a lot.
Appreciate you, big fella.
Well, Shannon, are you surprised that Shaq defended Paul George?
Hold on. I know it's not the same Shaq that said back in October after the finals, the Clippers should trade Paul George so Kawhi can be the man.
Mm-hmm. He said that.
That ain't Shaq. No. The very guy that says he commended him for the way he handled criticism, criticized him.
Well, he's commending him for handling Shaq's criticism.
Skip. Paul PG invited this. Nobody ever gave him the name Playoff P. He gave himself that name. If you give yourself a, Skip, when they call somebody, I didn't give myself Big Play Shay. James Worthy did not give himself the name Big Game James. They called him that, Skip, because he had a higher playoff average, scoring, and other stats than he did in the regular season. Skip, if you give yourself a name, shouldn't you have to live up to the name that you gave yourself?
Yep, I agree.
So he gives himself a name like, I'm a playoff player, I'm a Don. And come playoff time, y'all gonna see. Well, he's come up small ever since he's bestowed the name upon himself when he got on stage. Playoffs is what Bird, is what the greats done in the playoffs that makes you become the legend, takes you to the iconic status. LeBron. So, don't do that. Don't Skip. See, there you go. See, this is where you and I separate. We were doing good. We were doing really good this morning.
I was hanging on every word until that one. You just made my eyes just about roll out of their sockets.
Skip, but at the end of the day, it's all on Paul Pierce. Like you said, all this chirping.
Paul George,
Paul George. They're doing all this chirping. It's going to be up to you to squash this chirping.
It is.
But if you think you're going to squash it by what you're doing in the regular season on a Thursday night in April, you're sadly mistaken. Because just like you didn't, you gave yourself, you didn't say regular season, please. I'm a master. I'm Reg P. You said playoff P. So they want to see these types of performances when it matters the most. So, Skip, look, I get it. Shaq's defending him. But I don't know. You should expect criticism, Skip. If you're one of the top players in the NBA, you should expect criticism. If you're not getting no criticism, something ain't right.
Okay. By the way, quick point of order. Knowing you the way I know you, you probably did give yourself the nickname Big Play Shay.
I did.
And then you just lived up to it.
Actually, I didn't give myself that name. I think Trent Dilfer gave me that name.
Trent Dilfer?
I think he did.
Yikes.
I used to be Big Guy. I used to give you a game, but Skip, at that point, I had to play here and there.
Well, maybe it
worked.
Maybe it was because that's about all that Trent could get you the football.
You might be right.
Okay. Now back to PG. I was taken aback. I watched this live, and I just sat back and said, whoa, because Shaq has been hard on Paul George.
Yes.
Playoff P.
Right.
And you're right about everything you said about him, but I felt like Shaq was calling himself out and just flat out said, I don't even have a question for you. I just want to tell you this sort of quote unquote to your face live interview. And I want you to hear what I'm saying. Shaq's a tough guy. And I don't think anybody ever would disagree. No. He's a tough guy.
Right.
And he spoke the other day about the four, older players, players from the past that he would take into the octagon with him. And they're all the Charles Oakley caliber players.
X-Man.
X-Man, Xavier McDaniel. We don't have those guys.
No.
It made me think, because we were even thinking about doing a topic about it, who are those guys today? The enforcers, the bodyguards. Right. Well, this league just doesn't have any enforcers or bodyguards.
They fined and suspended that out of the league.
They did. And Paul George is as far from an enforcer or bodyguard as you can get.
Right.
But here's one of the toughest guys ever to play the game, Shaquille O'Neal, saying, brother, I just want you to know I'm proud of you because you're standing up to the fire, because he's taking a lot of heat for playoff P. Pandemic P. Well, here's the irony of this for me. Remember how this all started back in the bubble? Paul George said he was having psychological problems in the bubble because he was just crumbling under the captivity of it. He just couldn't take the confinement on a daily basis to the point that he was depressed and needed counseling.
Right.
And usually the internet, if a prominent athlete says, declares publicly, volunteers the fact I needed counseling and I got it, the internet usually applauds, except in the case of this man in the bubble.
Not with athletes.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, we've gone through this with others.
Look, they might say, listen, let me tell you how this thing works, Skip. I know what guys are going to say publicly, but privately they're saying he's weak.
Bingo.
And that's how they're approaching him. And you see the way they come at him in the games. Bingo. That's how they think about him.
Okay, I agree. And now he's having to take it right between the eyes every single night. And the primary perpetrator of that has been 2 games against the Suns because Devin Booker has led the charge.
Yes.
He is all over him. You weak.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in the game, he's just in his face, reminding him just how weak he is.
And I love Paul. Paul, like, okay, you think I'm weak? I'm going to go at you.
Okay, well, he did last night.
At you.
And I know it was just a Thursday night in April. It didn't, quote unquote, count. It's not a playoff P game. But you can see that he is fighting back.
Right.
He's not, and he said after the game, we just go on about our business, but he gives it back to him.
Right.
And then he relies a little bit on Patrick Beverley to give it back a whole lot more. So the point is that Shaq was saying, this is pretty good what you're doing because you're balling out.
Right.
Because he is balling out.
Right.
He's had some stretches where he's gone cold, but he's making 44% of his three-point shots. And he's had some outbursts here of late. He scored 22 in the first quarter against Portland. That's just not that easy to do.
But you saw what he did against Orlando.
Okay, he's had some bad games too, but he's like most shooters. He comes and goes. But when you've shot 44% for the year,
he's stroking it from the three.
He's not missing many games. He's playing most of their games. Whew. And he made that one big 3 last night that just closed the door, just slammed it right in their face. And he danced after that one on one leg. He was hopping on one leg like, I got you.
Yeah, right? But Skip, you know how this worked. Even when LeBron was all NBA every single year, winning MVPs, they're like, well, when you going to do this in the playoffs? When you going to do this in the big moments?
Well, the quote-unquote proudest I ever was of LeBron James was after he flamed out and crumbled in games 4, 5, and 6 against Boston in that last playoff series in Cleveland, after which Dan Gilbert, his owner, accused him of quitting in those games. Then he goes to Miami. In the first year, he just melted down in the finals, games 4, 5, and 6 against Dallas. And then we come full circle to the next year. Remember, they're down going to game 6 at Boston, right? It's game 6.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the reporters, the basketball guys at ESPN, our guy Chris Broussard, Stephen A. Smith, they're all like, this is it, man. If he crumbles tonight, if he melts down in this one, we're never going to think the same about
if I'm not mistaken, I think LeBron thought they would break the team up.
Yeah.
If they lost, you know, you had just lost in excruciating fashion, terrible fashion the year before, and then you can't even make it back.
Right.
So he thought Pat Riley would break the team up.
And to his credit, he balled out. He terrorized them at Boston Garden. He had done that before. We'd seen that before. But this was make it or break it, right? And he did it, and then it sent them home for a Game 7, and he dominated again with some help from Dwayne. But again, that's rising and shining when you are under the most heat.
And so now that's how he became, that's how the legend. That's how the legend became the GOAT.
So you wiped it clean in one night?
Ain't got to be clean, Skip.
Okay, well...
You know, you ain't got to be clean.
Flame-outs.
No, Skip. You know,
Jordan never had any flame-outs.
Yeah, he flamed out.
He had no flame-outs.
No, he had some sweat where he got swept.
Okay, but they were calling him God in sneakers.
Yeah, but he was home. He couldn't work no miracles for himself. If I'm God, I'm working miracles for myself. I'm not leaving in the first round.
It's one of the greatest teams in the history of basketball, the Celtics.
Hold on.
Do you think LeBron could have gone and done that in Game 6 at Boston Garden to Larry Bird and Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge? No.
You told me if you're the best player on the planet, you got to be able to win one game.
Yeah.
No, but you told me about the GOAT. You told me that when he lost to San Antonio, he got swept. You got to win one game. You told me when he got swept by Golden State, you got to win one game.
Okay, but wait a second. You dismissed those Spurs as just pure broccoli, and you don't eat broccoli.
I don't eat broccoli, Skip.
Okay.
They are boring to watch. That doesn't mean it's not. See, I don't really like broccoli, but that doesn't mean it's not good for you. It's just not good to me. I ain't saying it wasn't good for me.
Boring.
Yeah, they boring. I'm not saying they fun to watch, but they're a damn good team.
But you can win one game against Broccoli.
You can mean to tell me you could win what? Oh,
Can't you just beat Broccoli one time?
Skip thinking about, slow Larry Bird, slow Kevin McHale, the Chief. Man, them guys were way past their prime doing them like this.
He would not have done that to those guys. You know it, and I know it.
And I know Jordan wouldn't have beat the 2018, 19, 2017-18 Golden State Warriors. We know that, don't we? We know that, don't we?
Here's all I know for sure is that pandemic P is going to turn back into playoff P when it...
He passed the ball to C.J. Miles.
He did.
He passed it to him and then said after the game, C.J. got to give me that. You had the ball.
That was game one. You could have just jumped right up and 1-0. Yep, it was on a Saturday.
And then what we do to him after that? Put Foots in him.
George Paul. But now he's back to Paul George, and he's about to turn back into playoff P because he's got a table setter and somebody that can keep him in line in Rondo.
Why can't we just call him PG? Why can't you just be PG-13?
Well, that's fine.
I mean, the king could be,
You can call him any name you want to call him, but he's going to call you a loser before this is over.
Okay.
No mercy.
36, LeBron James, like he's 26.
LeBron, he saw it and watch him call it. He's going to call it.
LeBron fadeaway. Oh, he hit it. Oh, my goodness.
LeBron with the hammer and one.
LeBron with two. Lets it fly. And hits.
He turned the other way. Logo 3 for LeBron.
You just have to bow down.
Not gonna lie, I've missed him. Okay, LeBron is expected to return by the end of the month from his high ankle sprain, and he wants the rest of the league to be aware. He posted a picture of himself and Anthony Davis on Instagram, sitting courtside in street clothes with a caption that says, quote, "The weatherman says the weather is changing soon, and it predicts a thunderstorm is coming. Folks, prepare. Take the proper caution measures to stay safe." Shannon, we talked earlier in the show about what Tom Brady put out there on social media. How do you feel about LeBron's post here?
The barometric pressure is rising. LeBron got a degree in atmospheric science and meteorology.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the I Promise.
No.
What?
There you go with your bull jive, Skip. What LeBron is saying is that, okay, y'all talking about Phoenix, rightfully so. Y'all talking about Utah, rightfully so. Y'all talking about the Clippers and the Nets.
The Nets, that's what's getting
and Philly.
The Nets.
But y'all know, there's a storm brewing on the horizon. And they get, you remember the Western Skip, and the Cowboy used to look up there and say, there's a storm on the prairie of Redon.
Yeah.
It's coming, Skip. Gale force winds. E5. Winds up to 300 miles an hour. Board up, Skip. Because when them two storms collide, it's not going to be safe to be outside. So all these parades that's going on, we about to deluge on your parade. Skip, the term raining cats and dogs, that has true meaning behind it. They said, and I think the 1600s, there was a storm that came. It rained so much and it flooded, there were dogs and cats everywhere. It's almost like it rained cats and dogs. Well, I'm not going to say it's going to be to that extent, but you and your team, specifically your team, I don't care about nothing else, your team, we will prevent them. We will. And Kawhi's going to have a very tough decision to make. This will be 2 years in a row he hadn't made the finals. Is he coming back to have it a third year, or is he going to take his show on the road?
Reportedly, he's already ready to re-up with the Clippers.
Oh, well, re-up and stay there with that losing thing. Like Charles Barkley said, he been fat, he been skinny, he been rich, he been poor, Hall of Fame. They've been terrible for all the years that Charles Barkley been everything that he said. That's what he said. I don't know.
I must admit, after I saw this last night, I was scared to death.
You should have been.
I was.
You should have been.
I cowered. I just stayed in my room the rest of the night because I was afraid to step foot outside my room because I was afraid the boogeyman would get me. That LeBron would just come around the corner and I'd just be done.
Skip, you remember them big storms come, they say you should leave.
Yeah.
Because once the storm hit, we're not going to be able to come get you. So leave. Yeah. Because once these two come back, we won't be able to help you.
I grew up in tornado country in Oklahoma, and man.
Tornado Alley.
Whoa. And they came in the springtime, and everybody had a tornado cellar. We didn't, but I feared for my life because there weren't the kind of weather reports we have now. Because you just didn't know where it was coming from.
It just pop up, you just say.
And last night I was envisioning LeBron as a human tornado coming for us.
You should. F5.
Here's the big difference in what Tom Brady, whom we spoke of earlier in his social post, big difference between Brady's and LeBron's.
What is the difference?
Tom Brady's are somewhat tongue-in-cheek. The one in Qatar that we discussed earlier, it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, he's ready to gun for we get that. But still, this whole thing, it's a little melodramatic. He's looking up at this monument to seven.
Seven is good.
Yeah, we get it. He's chuckling while he's doing it. There's no tongue-in-cheek with LeBron. There's zero tongue-in-cheek. He's not chuckling at all. He is dead serious. He wants to put the whole NBA on notice. The sheriff and his deputy are about to be back and restore order in this league.
We're coming to get the bad guys.
Oh, and it's mostly because there's so much attention being paid to the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn is in the house. It is nothing but Nets right now, and he knows it, and he knows he's been out of sight, out of mind. So he has to remind us, what's he up to now? 4 billion followers on Instagram?
He got about 80 mil.
Yeah, 80 mil. He's got to remind everybody, don't forget about me.
Yeah, don't.
Don't forget about Anthony Davis, because we're about to come back, and we're about to put this whole league back in its place. That's what he is saying. And I got to tell you, he's got another think coming on this.
No, we don't.
Because he's going to get quieter and quieter in his post, because this is not going to be his year.
Give me every year our year. There's no such thing as not our year.
I told you before the year, you lost too many key pieces. You lost Rondo. The Clippers gained Rondo. You lost a Danny Green who can defend at the highest level. Look what he's doing for Philly right now.
Skip.
You lost Dwight. Look what he's doing for Philly right now. You lost JaVale. Look what he's still doing in this league right now. They were long, and they were strong, and they were edgy, and they brought you a physicality you just don't have right now.
See, there's a difference. There's a difference between the teacher and the janitor. See, the janitor has the key to all the buildings. The teacher just has the key to her classroom. I got a janitor. He has the key to all the teams. We can solve all the problems. So Brooklyn Nets, Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns, Clippers, Sixers. You don't notice.
The LeBron is the janitor of the
We
league.
got a key to everything. The teacher only got a key to her homeroom. She really can't do nothing. If I keep the building, if the janitor don't show up to keep out the building, she can't get to her homeroom.
Yep.
My guy.
This is the truth. Speaking of thunderstorms, it is about to rain on the Lakers, because the Clippers are going to REIGN rain on the Lakers. You can just see it coming. The difference is Rondo. The difference is depth. The difference is toughness. The difference is, we want to talk about raining cats and dogs. Well, how about a couple of cats named Rondo and Pat Bev? And how about a couple of dogs named Kawhi and Paul George? They got some dog in them that you're going to see on the defensive end come playoff time.
Them two last guys you got ain't got no dog in them.
Yep.
They got puppy in them.
Kawhi Leonard's got dog in him.
No, he don't.
Paul George has dog in him that Rondo is going to pull out game after game. Watch and weep.
I saw it game 5, 6, and 7. I saw them dogs. I said, what? I said, man.
No leader, no head of snake.
What?
Yep.
That right there?
Yeah.
That right there.
Where's he been? That's what I want to know.
You saw him last night.
I want to know what happened.
Did you not see him last night?
What was his name? Solomon Hill? How quickly I forget. Is he not your unsung MVP? Or did you have some deal with him that you're supposed to, sort of fall against LeBron?
You see, because I know what you're going to say. I told you. I knew what you was going to do.
I don't know.
When we win this thing, you're going to talk about he got a break. It was a break that he didn't deserve.
How do you continue playing in that game, and you go make a shot in the corner, and then you trot up the floor to play defense, and all of a sudden you're gone? I don't get it.
High ankle sprain.
How are you gone for this long after you actually continue to play in the game? I don't get it.
I've seen it happen before. It's done happen before.
I get AD because that was some serious Achilles issues.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't think you know for sure whether he's going to be back because there's no timetable on him. LeBron, no problem. I've called him the most durable superstar in sports history.
We both will be back in due time. Don't you worry. Don't you?
Due time?
In due time.
Yep.
And I'm going to win DEW off of you.
Well, you need it because you're just in 2021, I think you're down 35 cases. It's okay.
Ooh, I'm not counting. I don't want to count. I'm trying to help. Maybe you guys reset. Maybe reset at some point.
Diet Mountain Dew.
I want you to have that, like you tell me, I want you to have that same energy.
Yeah.
That same energy.
It's going to rain dew.
No mercy. Round 2 of the Masters is today, with Justin Rose still in the lead after shooting 7 under yesterday. And even though there is no Tiger this year, the tournament has still garnered plenty of attention for not only the strong playing field, but also its lack of diversity and several calls to change the name of the tournament itself. So, Shannon, my question for you is, what do you think of when you think of the Masters?
Skip, I probably have a different perspective than most people because I'm from this area of the woods. We say the woods. I grew up about 2 hours from Augusta.
Yep.
So I know what Augusta is. I know what Augusta was. It was a plantation. And like a lot of things in the South, it was segregated. And it was one of the last institutions to be integrated. And yeah, while they have some black members and some women members now, it was still after much fighting and cajoling to get them to change some of the policies to accept people of color, to accept women. And so they fought that as long as they possibly could, and then they finally acquiesced years ago. But they, when Bobby Jones, I forget the other guy that, I think Bobby Jones, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Bobby Jones that founded this in late 30s?
Yeah, he was an Atlanta attorney and a great amateur player, one of the greatest golfers ever.
Right.
Yep.
And they founded it, and, they says, no, it's the Masters of the Golf. Well, you thought the Masters of the Golf was white people, white men, and the caddies should have been black men. And so they felt that way for an extended period of time. But, Skip, the Masters was like a lot of things in the South back then. They had for whites, and then they had for blacks, and they thought, yeah, you could come on the property, but it was to serve the whites. And so for me, Skip, I understand the history of this golfing, the Masters. I understand. I don't think the name is ever going to change because, believe it or not, that's not what it meant. Yes, you go back and check. Even before the golf, the term master didn't have anything to do with golf. So you could say, well, we were talking about masters of golf, but that's not where that term came from. You know that. I know that. Everybody else knows that. But while it has a dark past, it's provided some of the great moments in golfing history. Mm-hmm. Tiger in 1997, winning, and whoa, a black man actually won. Lee Elder played there 22 years earlier. Calvin Pete and Sifford and some of these other black played there. A black won it, and then 2 years ago when he won. Wow. So it's provided some great memories, some great moments, but we cannot forget its past and what it's also done.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate your perspective on what is my favorite sports event of the year. Mm-hmm. I know it the way you know it because I covered it, I think, 20 times, starting in 1979. I know Augusta. I know the roots. I know how it was founded. I know the plantation mentality that still exists there to some degree.
Yeah, that big white building.
And yes, the caddies were all black for a long time, and the players were all white for a long time. And it was disturbing to me. And every time I say that name, Masters, it makes me cringe psychologically because I don't like it.
Right.
And now that we've gone through a Black Lives Matter movement in which many of the vestiges of racism have been torn down, have come down, starting with statues, the Civil War Confederate statues. I just wish there was a way to change that name. But those men are proud and they are stubborn, and I seriously doubt that name will ever change. Even though I would like to point out that if you look down the membership roll of Augusta National Golf Club, Many of the members come from New York and California, so don't condemn them as all Southern fried members.
No.
They're not all from Georgia.
The club is what
Augusta.
it is, Skip.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So now we get to the golf tournament. And to demonstrate the power of that golf course, which was founded on what used to be a nursery of exotic foliage and flowers, it is simply the most beautiful place I have ever been to in the world. This transcends the men who run the tournament, the men in the clubhouse. This is about the golf and the competition. And as Ben Crenshaw once told me for a big piece I wrote on the Masters for what was then called Sport Magazine, he called it a mystical cathedral, and it is a mystical cathedral. The pines reach into the sky like Jack and the Beanstalk.
That's what they call them, Georgia pines.
They're Georgia pines. I can't express to you how tall they are. And down at Amen Corner, it's so tall and shrouded that it feels creepy down in it, and the wind swirls mysteriously and unpredictably to the point that it's almost like the golf gods of Augusta determine the fate of the players, especially on Sunday. And I've always called Masters Sunday my favorite day in sports because it is a crucible of pressure unlike any pressure I have ever
Ask Greg Norman.
Personally experienced. There have been so many crashes and burns, so many meltdowns. Jordan Spieth on number 12, Seve on number 15. One year just hit it right in the water, and you're like, what are you doing? It's just Augusta. And when I first met my friend Lil Wayne back in my ESPN days, this is probably dating back to 2010 maybe, we did a topic one day about what's your favorite day in sports. And I went with Masters Sunday. And Lil Wayne was dumbfounded on air. Like, you're out your mind. What has happened to you? A golf tournament? Yes, that golf tournament. So a couple of years back, Lil Wayne attended. He's a fan of Patrick Reed just because Patrick spent most of his childhood in Baton Rouge. And so Wayne's obviously from New Orleans, and he dominated high school golf, won a couple of state championships. So he's a Patrick Reed fan, but he doesn't know Patrick Reed, but he follows him. And Wayne went, and now Wayne agrees with me. It's the greatest day in sports. And I just texted with him, and he said, if Patrick Reed is in top 5 after Saturday evening going into Sunday, he's going. He's going to go back again because there's just nothing like the aura of it, the presence of it.
The people that I've talked to that's attended, and a lot of people have attended it, Skip, the prices are still like they're 1930, 1940.
Correct.
$1.50 for a sandwich.
That's not the point.
But I'm just saying.
They're not going to price gouge you there.
No.
The hotels will.
Or most of the guys probably get rent homes. They rent people's homes. But Skip, I hope people don't think because they added S to Masters, it changed what it is. Because, Skip, back then they said Master. They think because, so we really changed the entire meaning of the word. No, you didn't. No, actually you didn't.
Okay, I am so with you on that. And there are a number of good old boys who, over the years that I went there, helped run the show and run the media segment of
Skip,
it.
you remember, Skip, when, I forget, was it Burke, when she tried to boycott and they was calling for the boycott? And they said, I tell you what we're going to do. We're a private company. We ain't going to take no money. We're going to put the show on by ourselves. We don't need you. Just let you know, we got the members here. We can run this thing however long we want to without you, without sponsors. So once they did that, it's like, hold on, this is a different animal.
This is a different
because, Skip, normally, a lot of times you can put pressure on the sponsors. Because sponsor, a network or a TV show, something, they're like, hold on, sponsors. It's like, we don't need them. Do you realize who our members are? You talk about Fortune 5, we talk about billion, 100 billionaires. So we don't need you. So, Skip, they operate under a different set of rules.
It's why they'll go a whole hour of the telecast commercial free. They don't care.
Skip, they did the whole Masters. Can you imagine doing a sporting event with no commercials? They did that.
Okay. Yet the golf is the golf.
It is.
And it's the greatest major because it's always in the same place. So as a golf fanatic, I know every shot on every hole. I did have the privilege back in '79. I played the golf course and I've walked it 1,000 times. I know every stroke of that can be of genius or collapse that is out there. I know every trap door, so it never, remember, the U.S. Open moves, the British Open moves, the PGA moves. This never moves. So it's a rite of spring because it's always the first Masters, and it's refreshing to me as we hope to be coming out of the pandemic that it's back on schedule in early April.
Yeah, Skip, and look, at the majors, you got 4 of them. You got 1 in tennis, you got 4 in tennis and 4 in golf. But the Masters in golf and Wimbledon and tennis is it. The gold standard.
It's the gold standard.
You win those, you're a made man, you're a made woman. And now, I think, Skip, didn't they have, I think they had the amateur. I think the women had the amateurs at the Masters.
They did. They're sort of opening their doors, and they're also having that drive, chip, and putt competition at Augusta National. So they're trying to join the 2020.
You're a little late, but hey, better late than never, I guess, Skip.
A little late, but I'll take it. All right, good discussion, guys. Good stuff. No mercy. Well, after the Clippers win over the Suns last night, Monty Williams had high praise for Rajon Rondo. He compared the point guard to Chris Paul, saying that, quote, wherever he goes, he makes the team better. So, Shannon, who would you rather have leading your team, Rondo or CP3?
Skip, this is not easy as you might think, because I think people that Chris Paul is the better player, but somehow Rondo has found a way that when it matters the most to play above what he would normally do in the regular season.
I agree.
And that's very hard to do. There have been very few players that can, especially great players. You see Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant averaged more points in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. LeBron was one of those guys. Jordan was one of those guys. It doesn't happen very often that guys can even elevate their play even more. But I think the thing what has helped Rondo, Skip, is that he's played with better players. If you look at him last year, he has Bron and AD. When he was at the Celtics, he had Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen. When he was in New Orleans for that 1 year, he had Boogie and AD. So it's not like, and then when he goes to Sacramento, he didn't really do anything. He put up phenomenal numbers, but even then, he still had Boogie. So for me, Skip, I might take Rondo, Skip. I just might take Rondo. I know Chris Paul is a better player, but when come playoff time, it's just something about this guy that, and I remember he dislocated his elbow against Miami, Skip, and he still came back out there and played basically with one arm.
He did. So we laughed earlier about playoff P.
Yeah.
But nobody laughs at playoff Rondo because it's real.
And he actually hates the name because he said, I'm good in the regular season too.
Yeah. I'm with you. I give a slight edge to Rondo. There's some X factor of leadership and big play making that he has that I don't see in Chris. But you're right. If you just do it in a vacuum of who's the better player, it's just Chris.
Yeah.
He's the better scorer. He's a much better offensive player consistently, even though, as you point out, Rondo can have those games and those nights when called upon. He can do it.
And CP3 has been a first-team all-defensive player.
All-defensive player, and he's led the league in assists 4 times to Rondo's 3 times. So they're both great distributors. And listen, I've told you what Chris Paul did for Oklahoma City last year, that was his best year of his career.
Yes.
And he's repeating his best year with a little more talented Suns team.
Yes.
So it's a very close call. But when I first got to know Chris Paul was when he was in New Orleans for that first run with just a pretty good team. But he was the offensive force, and I know he had a 7-game series against my Spurs, and I was very plugged into what was going on with the Spurs. They were scared to death of him. They thought he was a little bit of a psycho pit bull because when he got his mad on, he just became an unstoppable offensive force. And I don't know if he's more than like 5'11". He might be 6 feet.
He might be.
But Rondo's a couple of inches taller, I believe.
Yes.
But when Chris gets going, man, he's got like a little bit of
I think
craziness.
he hit the shot to put you guys out. In L.A., he put the big...
That was it. That was another playoff series, but that was Clippers. He finally hit. But he hadn't done that to that point because in the first go-around, when he was in New Orleans, it took 7 games, but the Spurs just sort of waited him out and just outlasted him. But he was scary good as an offensive player.
They are very comparable, Skip, because you look at the Suns. The Suns couldn't even make it to the play-in game last year, and now they have the second-best record in the West. And you can directly trace that back to Chris Paul. As you mentioned, OKC Thunder. They were in the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs.
They did.
And guess what? They're in the lottery this year.
Right. But in the end, yeah, and by the way, Chris Paul deserves some MVP consideration for what he's doing right now. He's not going to win it. He's not going to get in it because he doesn't do enough explosively on offense to rate it. And plus, Devin Booker should take some of that shine, right?
Yes.
But the point is, Rondo does have 2 rings to Chris's 0 rings. Well, is that fair? Has he had enough talent around him?
No.
It's not fair. And I've called him in the past CP0 instead of CP3 because he just doesn't have any rings. And on schedule, he gets hurt too much in big playoff games. And sometimes he just doesn't play well enough in big playoff games. And Rondo consistently rises to the occasion. And there's something, remember, about leadership with Chris Paul. It seems like everywhere he's been with good players, he rubs them the wrong way. Right?
Yeah.
And after a while, they're all falling apart. He and Blake, no. And then he and James and Houston, it just crumbles after a while.
Right.
And Rondo seems to rub good players the wrong way. That becomes the right way. Right?
Yep.
And then the great irony here is these two have a rivalry that dates back a couple of years ago to when, remember, Chris accused Rondo of spitting on him.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no love lost between.
They do not like each other.
There's no love lost between.
Because they're pretty much the same guy to me in a little different package.
They are. You're exactly right. But Skip, I believe that had Chris Paul not gotten hurt, again, that Houston, I believe they'd knock off Golden State. But, Skip, I can't overlook the fact that they had a 3-1 lead on Houston. And Houston came back and beat them, and James Harden really didn't play in that Game 7.
Agreed.
I mean, the Game 6? I think Game 6 when they came all the way back, and they were down like 20.
Yep.
No mercy. Guys, Kevin Durant looked smooth in his return 2 nights ago, which means the Lakers will have their hands full tomorrow against Brooklyn. LA will still be without LeBron and Anthony Davis as they face the red-hot Nets. So, Shannon, what shot do you give the Lakers of pulling off an upset?
Very little.
Very little.
Be honest,
got something for them. You told me yesterday we got something for those Nets.
But we ain't there. We ain't got all our ingredients. Now, once we get all our ingredients, have we had AD and LeBron, there won't be no upset. I say we're going to beat them. And I would probably gave you 2 or 3 points. Just cause.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
At Nets?
At Nets. Don't matter. At Nets. Doesn't matter. Volleyball net. Doesn't matter. Basketball.
THT on TNT or whatever he is.
No.
Right?
We're overmatched right now. You guys are going to win. Get a little false sense of, just how great y'all are. But y'all going to have to deal with us. Y'all see us. We'll see you.
Well, why are you backing off so quickly? You just folded your tent and just ran.
Well, I tell you what. Take Kyrie and Kevin Durant out. And then make it head up, and then I take the Lakers.
Well, you got Kareem Abdul-Drummond.
You got jokes, I see.
Huh?
No, that's all right. That's all right, Skip.
You got Schroeder.
Skip, go ahead, old man. No, I know.
You got Kyrie Schroeder. That's what you call him.
We overmatched right now.
You're overmatched?
Yep.
I was going to be nice and give you like 10 points.
No, I want no points.
You want no points?
No, you're not. Nope. You're not going to bet on this
You
one?
tried to sucker me in.
Okay.
But I tell you what, give me about 2 weeks.
This was the wisest thing you've ever done on this show.
2 weeks, end of the month, we get LeBron back. That is it for Undisputed. Don't worry, we'll definitely talk about this game on Monday. The Herd is coming up right now. Have a great weekend, guys.